Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Here to do a review of something, and then I'll just show I got my first things first, I guess. Kind of a TV update slash blog, whatever you want to call it. But I did get the gospel. I guess you'd call it just a single, even though it's really like an EP. And when I'm doing my albums of the year, this has to sort of factor in a way. The Magic of Dark Matter Volume 1 vinyl. I know it's limited pressing, just like the other one from Dog Night Productions. I think it was the one I got. I think it's colored. If I'm not mistaken. Show the stickers. Yeah, it's like a. I opened this up when I got it last week, but it's a 23-minute piece. I've listened to it a few times, and I really like it. It's mostly instrumental, but I'll say that I think I had more excitement for it than actually ended up. Like if this had come out, I don't know. I mean, some of you just believe, well, it doesn't really matter when it comes out. But I mean, if this had come out like at the same time, or like even before, or like a week after The Loser had come out, I probably would have been more attached to it. I don't know. I mean, the live version got me really excited. It's a 23-minute track from Gospel. They gave me stickers. It's interesting. One thing. Oops. I got something else. It's like a band, Partial Eclipse. From Dog Night Productions. This came from, of all places, Rochester. Oh, it's got, yeah. They're just trying to. They do this Hollow Jan. You know, this is not really prog. Hollow Jan's a post-hardcore band. They sent me an insert for like an ad for, but there is at least one here. Clever Eagle Records. So I don't know. They had some other stuff. Dog Night Productions. But this came from Rochester, Minnesota. I don't know if it was manufactured there or just distributed. The piece of mail I got from this, it's interesting though about this. I know the name is kind of convoluted. It's really long and everything. Does it even have it on it? No. If you just saw this in the store or something like that, you'd think, well, it's just called Gospel, like it's a self-titled song or something. Yeah. I mean, I like it. It's more space rock than anything else. See, did they write the actual full name? I mean, it's got the Magnus Lindberg recorded by Kurt Ballou, mastered by Magnus. Okay, Neon. Zach Weeks, the different members that play on Steve Johnson, I think that is, John So, with help from, Zach Weeks. David Sachs with Neon by Jeffrey Photo, Vinny. They just have to be all cryptic. I mean, it's like I'd have to invert this, the way you just look at that. Trying to read that, it's like looking through the mirror. You have to look at it. I'd have to look at it through a mirror probably to really read this well. I don't know. I haven't seen much comments. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a sense that the Gospels are sort of like the momentum and hype and interest in them has kind of waned, which isn't unusual when some band puts out a new record and some people start to like it, and then they have their 15 minutes or whatever. But and so I've been a fan off and on to an extent for the better part of whatever that's been. It was about 2009, 2010 that I got into them. It was long after the Moon of the Dead World came out, but I've been a fan for over 10 years technically. You know, my interest isn't going to wane, but hopefully the interest in the band's music and this included won't. But I'm just still going to call it, the Magic Volume of Dark Matter Volume, or the Magic of Dark Matter Volume 1, which is like it's like 22 minutes. I don't know if it was 23. It's like a 22-minute track. So, Yeah, I mean, I jumped on this because of the fact that the Moon of the Dead World sold out really quickly, and I barely was able to get a copy of the sleeve that I got here. It doesn't really remain in perfect shape, but I barely got a copy of The Loser, which came out in April, or May actually. I thought it was April. May. I pre-ordered in April, and then I got it sometime in late May. But so the other thing, yeah, I wanted to talk about television. Shifting gears here. So the Orville, that's the primary thing I was going to talk about, just a review. So I've been watching the Orville. This summer, basically, it was Stranger Things. Actually, technically, it was like the Orville. Going back to May, actually, so backtracking. When Better Call Saul came back, and then a few of the shows on HBO, like the Lakers thing, Showtime, and then Time Traveler's Wife, unfortunately, got canceled. But then Better Call Saul came back, and then it's ended, and then Stranger Things came back, and then that came back, and that ended in around 4th of July. And then Better Call Saul finally came back, and there's 2 episodes left of Better Call Saul. The plan is to do a review video of that when it's over in a couple weeks. Also around June, after 3 years and change, the Orville came back for probably its final season. Orville New Horizons on Hulu. Also, Westworld came back, and Westworld's got 2 more episodes left, or actually now 1. Last night's episode on HBO I haven't caught yet, but so those 3, those are the core of like the summer viewing. Then I would add Paper Girls, which I've just started getting into the last few weeks. I watched another episode this weekend too, and I got like 5 episodes left, so I will review that. So Paper Girls, Westworld, and Better Call Saul reviews are coming down the road soon. But this is about the Orville. I wanted to talk just at least as briefly as I could about them, about the 3rd season, which might not be the final season of the Orville, but it might be. I really did like this season a lot, even with sort of it feeling it's so long. And this is my take. Orville came out in 2017. I'm a Trekkie. I didn't grow up. I learned about the original Star Trek. Next Generation, I never was into. I thought it was just for dorks and everything, but I later came around on that when I got into Deep Space Nine, which became my favorite television series ever. I mean, in effect. And Voyager was on at the same time, and I got into that after getting into Deep Space Nine. And Enterprising came out right when Voyager was ending, right after that, and I liked it. I wasn't thrilled with it, but it was all right. But it was a lot of the same creative team that was involved with the Enterprise and Voyager and Deep Space Nine and Next Generation. That style of Star Trek. Then J.J. Abrams tries to resurrect it with the movies. The first movie I thought was okay, but I definitely was a little thrown off by some of the inconsistencies and the sort of try to change things to an extent. I don't know if I ever saw the second one and the third one. I mean, I did see the second one, but maybe like rented it or something like that. I got it from the library, but I kind of just dropped off. And then they are going to launch a TV series when they're starting streaming services around that time, 2015, 2016. They called it CBS All Access. Wasn't really based on the trailers and some of the just what they were doing. Wasn't interested. Alex Kurtzman, who I don't know how involved he was with that first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, but he was involved with the ones after that. Everything he's done with Star Trek has completely repulsed me, and I've had no interest and everything, all the reviews and everything about it. So I still don't have interest. So the Orville really was the sort of was the alternative, and to me looked more like the Star Trek I love, even as it sort of was derivative, and it was also sort of a lot of it was people thought it was like Galaxy Quest, which was like a parody. Yeah, the humor part of it was really a big part of the Orville when it first launched. Some of the criticism too, why people didn't really want to bother with it. But I think I would say by the middle of the first season, and especially into the second season for sure, it was definitely more becoming its own show. Not dismissing the humor, but just kind of like the way they added music in there, food, just different like things that the Star Trek universe never really brought in, that they tried to sort of do with Galaxy Quest to a fun. It's like, where do we go to the bathroom? Stuff, or like and sort of the more conscious things about, the LGBTQ community being represented. There's just a lot of controversial topics that they did tackle on all the Star Treks, especially I would say on Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, from my perspective. I mean, the original series as well, and it's kind of interesting because Nichelle Nichols, rest in peace, just left us a week ago too, and so it only leaves 3 of the original series cast members left. Shatner played obviously Kirk, George Takei, I believe it's Takei. People say his name Takai. Played Sulu, and Walter Koenig played Chekhov, and he wasn't even on the first season of the original Star Trek. But so as far as the third season go, it was this long because it was on Fox the first 2 seasons, and the second season I remember ended relatively early. It was like in March or even April. It was a full season, but it felt like it ended sooner than the normal season would have ended. But they talked about how that they were going to move to Hulu for the third season, or move to There was all this controversy about what was going to happen for the third season. They got renewed, but it wasn't really renewed. But there was talks about them doing a third season, but they needed more money. The budget was much higher, and so then, and this is right around the time COVID happened, or maybe a little before that. It was basically saying, well, this third season probably will be our last because of we're trying to make a better, more. That's what Seth MacFarlane, of course, from Family Guy, talking about. He's the creator and plays obviously Captain Ed Mercer. Although more about him just briefly in a minute, but they wanted to make more expensive episodes, and so they weren't going to make as many episodes, but the episodes were going to be longer, which is actually what happened. There were 9 episodes, I believe, but most of them were an hour. It was like Stranger Things, kind of, were an hour longer. I saw one figure saying that the third season of the Orville New Horizons or whatever was the length of 16 standard 1 hour drama whatever show episodes on a network. So and I think it was visibly noticeable in some of the episodes. The second to last episode, the big battle episode, where you have the Moclan and the Krill join forces, and then that weapon this is kind of spoiler alert, sorry. The weapon that can destroy the Kaylon is taken from them, and well, they really didn't do enough they didn't resolve a few things. But I wanted to get back to what Seth MacFarlane, Seth MacFarlane's character, I found this third season, maybe the last season, wasn't really. I can't think of one episode that really involved him where in anywhere near any of the primary plots. Which maybe that was his intention, because the first 2 seasons, while he wasn't the only focus, he had a lot of focus. Of course, he was the captain. I got the impression that Adrian Palicki, who plays Kelly, the command, she commander? Yeah, I think she's a commander. Anyway, the second in command, her character was much more emphasized. We had a lot more, focus on her this season than Captain Mercer, but which I like her. I like Adrian Palicki in that role. She was like a mentor to a bunch of characters. Not as much about her personal life as more of like a support role for all these different characters on the ship. So, but I mean, I thought it was good. It was really good. I mean, part of it's been 3.5 years. 2019, I think it was the spring of winter of 2019 was the last time we had episodes. So it's been 3.5 years. Part of that is that we haven't seen it. I did not realize, it just hit me after the final episode, thinking about the credits. The Bordas character, of course, his partner is Clyden. Is played by Chad L. Coleman, who was Fred Johnson in The Expanse. Now, before this season, I'd never watched The Expanse. That's kind of thing, is I almost look at The Expanse and Orville as sort of contemporaries in a way. You could put the Star Trek Discovery and the Star Trek and Picard and New Strange. You put them as sort of the same time period, I guess. That Lower Decks, all that stuff too. But to me, the real Star Trek that's happened right now has been, or the real sci-fi in space has been The Expanse and the Orville. So yeah, I mean they resolved some of the things with the Kalon with the wedding at the end. I thought the final the season finale, possibly series finale, was well done. It was a nice change of pace. It really represented the Orville in a lot of ways. I mean, sure, in a more true fashion of like the sort of story arc of a show, they would have had the battle in the eighth episode would have been, it's called Domino, would have been more fitting, more typical of sort of a drama, sci-fi drama set in space. Star Trek in effect. This was a Star Trek series, that probably would have been your finale. But the Orville is trying to pay homage, but also do its own thing in a way, and so it kind of remembers its original reason with Future Unknown. I mean, they did bring the topic of bringing that character Lucella back from that planet that Lieutenant Lamar, Commander Lamar had violated a rule, that whole upvoting, downvoting thing, and she had helped him. And I just kind of knew from the get-go that she was not, the moment she noticed the technology, she wasn't going to, she wanted to go home, that she wasn't really, it wasn't going to sit with her. But I'm glad that, like, if they do continue, then they'll probably have to expand on her character. Because she was at the wedding, yeah, she didn't leave. So, and they do bring a cameo in at the end. They brought Sage, what's her name? Not Sage Rosenfeld. Halston Sage, who played Alara. They brought her back, which I like. I mean, it wasn't much of a miss. I liked Tala, Jessica Zor, the last two seasons, playing that kind of similar role of the Talayan security person. I don't know. That's almost a push. I guess I kind of like Sage a little more, but this is not that controversial. But I mean, the reason why Halston Sage, I guess, left was kind of sort of conflict of interest. I don't know if that was entirely the reason, but Seth MacFarlane isn't your typical sort of actor in business fashion, it seems like, because he had been, I guess, involved with Halston Sage, and then he was actually involved with, and this is again another spoiler, the girl who played the new season, Charlie. What was her name? Ann Winters. Yeah, he also. So it's like, well, if you're a female actress and you get cast on one of Seth's shows, then I don't know if it ever happened on Family Guy. You may be kind of, I don't want to say sleeping your way to the top. You may be having your opportunities to hook up with the creator. All the different people that showed up on this show is pretty impressive. I mean, Ted Danson, Victor Garber, Bruce Boxleitner from Babylon 5, although it's less recognizable. Of course, rest in peace, both Norm Macdonald, who's, I don't know what his character's name is. He's the little blob engineer guy. And one of the ambassadors, or maybe she's an admiral, passed away too. I forget her name. I know because they dedicated the first couple episodes to her. I think it was her and Norm Macdonald. Shoot, I can't remember. Well, they don't list her because I mean Norm Macdonald wasn't. I forget her name. Lisa Baines. She played one of the ambassadors. She had a very minimal role. She showed up in like 4 episodes. It seemed like she was doing the same kind of thing that Victor Garber's as the sort of admiral. But she's an admiral in I think she was an alien. I don't know. Anyway, Lisa Baines and Norm Macdonald, if the Orville does continue, won't obviously probably be in there unless they can somehow take archive footage or something like that. But sad to see, but. So what are the chances of it being picked up again? Well, the thing is, Seth MacFarlane at Comic-Con a few weeks ago made an announcement that the Orville is going to be moving, or at least being allowed to be shown now, be available on Disney Plus, which between Hulu, because I don't think That's the thing is Hulu didn't really promote it. There was not a lot of hype for it at all. I didn't see trailers last winter for it. There was like one maybe, but really it was like leading up in June. It's like Orville's coming back. You didn't see much about it. You saw tons of stuff about Stranger Things. So I think if they do come back, a little bit like maybe what happened to The Expanse. I mean, it's only on one season on Hulu. They do come back on Disney Plus if they have a new season. I think it may have a better shot at getting promoted. With them being picked up by Disney Plus, the fourth season could happen. But if they don't, they ended the last season. The last episode, last season was really good. I thought. It's sad if it is the end of it. What sci-fi shows set in space, aside from this, the Paramount Plus Star Trek shows, are there right now? There's a show that's Moon something on AMC that I might check out, but I don't know. Something will probably pop up. There's other sci-fi out there, including Paper Girls, but as far as I'm really hoping the Orville comes back. Because I almost feel like the shows from the mid 2010s are now going, with Saul being over. I don't know how much longer the Westworld's going to be going on. A lot of these shows, Cobra Kai, won't be on for that much longer. It's kind of an end of an era. The Orville only has had 3 seasons because it had that budget thing and the delays. I feel like we got shortchanged at least 1 or 2 seasons from the Orville. If this had been like the 5th season, I would have been like, yeah, I had a great run. Even though I don't know what the full, point of the story and what all the other Star Trek shows sort of had. I mean, the Enterprise had sort of a story arc, but it didn't really. You knew what was happening at the end of Deep Space Nine, at Voyager. They're going to get home. The original series never had an ending. They kind of resolved some of that stuff in the movies. What is the sort of what was the end goal of the Orville, to bring peace to the full galaxy and to bring new knowledge? I don't know. I would think my thought is that if it doesn't get a 4th season, there might be a shot at, assuming the cast and McFarlane specifically is interested, either a mini series or a movie or both, maybe like a kind of thing that Psych's done. Some of those shows have done. That would be the hope. The thing is, Seth MacFarlane's doing the second Ted movie. And I know, him and Adrian Palicki, I think, was interviewed the summer of 2021 saying it's the last season. So I don't know if some of the cast really has moved on, but I think maybe seeing the response it's received over the last couple of months just online, even though it didn't get a lot of promotion, the buzz about it to an extent might have changed some of the. I know, the woman who plays the Doctor from Deep Space Nine, Penny Johnson. I know that she was interviewed saying she doesn't know if this is the last season, and she definitely would want to do another season. She just gets married to Isaac and all this stuff. It's like we don't know how their marriage goes. So I mean, I would say that if they do bring it back, though, I would want most, if not the entire cast, because it would feel weird if you didn't have certain people. And they've done that before, but they should bring back the guy who played the original engineer to make a cameo, because he was in that movie with the school teachers. I remember with Keegan Michael Key. I remember seeing him. That he was like a science teacher, or gym teacher. I can't remember, but I don't know why he left the show. It was after 5 episodes, and then they had Lamar turn into being the chief engineer after that point. But anyway, what did you think of the final season, or of the 3rd season and possibly final season? What do you think the future of the Orville is? Did you, if you're an Orville fan, are you satisfied with it? Do you want them to do more? Hopefully, do you think they'll do more? Do you think they'll get more content? Or, do you think this was basically all you'd really wanted? I mean, I guess I'm happy we got a 3rd season, because at some point it seemed like it was taking forever that we were ever going to get it. So, but please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.